Hey guys, welcome to Fractured Compass. Now this whole week we have been bringing you interviews of different haunt monsters. Hey. So now I want to take a step back in time and actually talk with a cast member that was from the show Street Drums Corps' Blood Drums at Knott's Berry Farm. Now, this girl right here, this is Nikki G. Now she's very special to us. She's very special to us. We've known each other for quite some time, and what you guys don't know is she's actually the fourth member of Fractured Compass Productions. She is the one that you never see, but you definitely hear. So she composes a lot of the background music for some of our videos. So I'm very honored that she was here to talk with us, but we're going to talk about Blood Drums and everything that went on with it, some of the behind-the-scenes shenanigans, some of the show. Alright, so Nikki, let's get into it. What year did Blood Drums come to Knott's?
Blood Drums came to Knott's in 2010. It was a brand new concept even for the band. So Street Drum Corps is a street drumming ensemble, and we kind of used that same concept to kind of mold it and let it evolve into a Halloween show, which we ended up calling Blood Drums. And the first time it really came into fruition was at Knott's Berry Farm. We got a residency there, and we ended up playing at Knott's Berry Farm for about 4 years, I think.
4 years?
Yeah.
Which is a good long run for a show.
Very good long run. We were very fortunate to have done that for so long, and so fortunate with all the different years, all the different casts. The first year was the original cast, and then 3 years after that we would change the cast out every time, but I was the only one who kind of stayed the entire time. So it was awesome to kind of see how it evolved and changed throughout the years.
Right on. Alright, so how was your first year coming into Knott's?
Oh gosh, it was exciting. The way we kind of came into the whole event was a little bit different than a lot of the employees as far as monsters and mazes and contractors and costume people and all that. We came in as entertainment, so we were just a show that happened throughout it. The first year was a lot of learning had to be done, and a lot of time had to be put in to get used to the show and the feel and the Halloween feel, and also to get to know the people in our area and to get to know the people all throughout Knott's, because as you may or may not know, it's a very close family kind of unit. Everybody has their places and territories, and like we were these new guys coming in, and we really didn't know how to necessarily negotiate all that at first. So it was really great, because in the end we just kind of let the show and the music speak for itself, and naturally that kind of evolved, and then we got included in some of the stuff. And you know, it's a good cast with good people, so we just kept that at the forefront, and eventually, you know, we found our groove and other people found their groove, and it made a really good impact because we got 3 more years past the first year. So
there's a little bit of friction when you guys came in.
There was a tiny bit of friction. The area that we were in is Camp Snoopy, and they had a stage on there. They had the show Spooktacular every day before us. So we kind of had to set up every night, but we were new people coming in, and there was a drum group that was there before us, and we didn't know that. So a lot of people were upset that the last drum people weren't playing anymore, but we found them and we kind of like included them into the process. So there were definitely, like, I'd call them speed bumps. We're all progressing forward still, but there were speed bumps here and there. But for the most part, once everybody saw the show, got to know us, then all of a sudden it just started naturally coming together.
So once you guys were kind of, you know, smoothed out those speed bumps and you going through, what was, I remember talking to you a while back about how you guys were finally included in some kind of ritual.
Yes. The first year we didn't really understand what was going on, but towards the end of the season, what they do is, I'm not sure if they actually do it anymore.
I'm not sure either, and I don't know if it's just a streets thing, because it's definitely not a maze thing, but I know street...
Bye.
I know streets is a little bit different, and they're a little bit more because you have people on streets that have been on streets for, God, like 25, 30 years plus. So they have that tight-knit, close connection family more than a maze does, because mazes change up more than streets.
Yes. But we were right out in the open. The father of Haunt was one of the guys who has done it for like 20 years or something. Mm-hmm. And the mother of Haunt, we ended up getting really close to. And the father of Haunt was actually in our area. So he was probably the like bridge between us and really getting to know the rest of our area. And they have a ritual every year, which I don't know if they still do, but they would do a march through the streets, and they'd gather up everybody in the area, and then by the end of it, they'd meet in the front of Knott's, and they'd pay their respects to anyone who had passed that was part of the Haunt community. Mm-hmm. And we kept seeing this, like, year after year, this thing happening, and when we finally understood what it was, we thought it was great. And then one day, Father Haunt came over to us, and we were packing up our stuff. They came through. They stopped in our area instead of the front of Knott's and invited us in. And it was kind of a very surreal experience, because although we didn't know a lot of the outside community and we were so new, people have been doing this forever, you know, to get down and like, they said so many great things about so many people. Everybody was down. Some people were praying. Some people were holding signs. We brought our flag over. So it was kind of like this really surreal moment that kind of bonded us even closer. And the 2 years after that, we were invited to it every time. And then all of a sudden it was like we became part of CS. And that felt really good to us, because we never wanted to come in and feel like we were taking over someone's spot, or, you know, the outsiders or whatnot. We really wanted to not just be a part of the community, but to invite them into our community and our show and have everybody be as one and united. That was our biggest goal in doing the show. And we loved being in that intimate theater, because literally your audience members are, what, like 2 or 3 feet away?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we loved that. We wanted you to be a part of the show. We wanted to kind of break that Western ideal of like performer and audience.
That fourth wall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We wanted to literally break that down and have people be with us in the moment on the stage and in the like energy of that show, which it was a high energy show.
So what was your guys' schedule like? Because entertainment's entertainment, and I guess all monsters are part of entertainment, but there's just different schedules sometimes.
Yeah, essentially we're there all night with everybody else. But because it's a show, you know, we'd have 4 to 5 shows a night at very specific times. But as far as the schedule, we'd still be there all day. So we'd be coming in when the monsters were coming in, when all the maze people are coming in, because our stage, we had to set up our stage every day.
Like the full stage? The
full stage, because during the day, it was spooktacular.
Right.
And not a great setting for blood drums, you know. So spooktacular would break down, and we'd have to come early and then set up our stage. Sound, lights, all the props, all the gear, everything every night.
So much.
So much. So we were like working out before the show even started.
Yeah.
But then once we were settled into that, we had a pretty good routine. We'd all come in, and then we set up the stage, and then we'd all go to makeup, and we had to do makeup for like, it'd usually take 40 minutes to an hour for everybody to get done. And then after makeup, we'd hit dinner, and then we'd be rolling right into the shows. And the shows were about like 25 minutes, half hour, depending. And then we'd like break for a little bit and then do another show. And break for a little bit.
What's break for a little bit? Because I mean, 25 minutes doing blood drums is like me doing Infected for 2 hours.
Yes, it's a highly intense show, and it's like high energy from the start to the end. Yeah. Like, even though we were a band and we were playing music and things were different, we ain't stopping in the middle to play a ballad. Right. You know, or some soft something. We were just right to the end. So it took a lot of stamina. It would take us a lot of time to build up to that. And so it depended. We'd play the show, and like sometimes we'd have just like a 20-minute to a 30-minute break, and just to kind of recoup our muscles. We would be icing in the dressing room sometimes, you know, taking care of wounds, whatever, and then we'd be right back out to do it again. By the end of the month, we would sometimes have played over 100 shows in 1 month. Yeah, and you get crazy. I mean, the idea is we put a lot of work into it behind the scenes, so then when we are on stage, we try to make it so it looks easy.
Right.
But it's not.
You're hurting.
You're hurting sometimes. And, I mean, because it's a bit more intense, it takes it up a level when you're doing something that's so themed instead of just, like, going to a band and seeing a show. You're seeing, like, a show inside of a show.
Right.
You're seeing a band, but then you're seeing all these different characters and all this different choreography and all these different prop movements and, like, throwing things, holding power tools and all this crazy stuff. So it can wear your body out really, really fast. And we've had some guys like get really fatigued, even just doing 2 shows. So it's not the same as the mazes, because I know a lot of monsters just go, 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 go. But it's, you know, I think it's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get into some of the behind-the-scenes shenanigans. But let's talk about, like, the craziest moment. Because I'm sure there was just 4 years of shenanigans.
Yes.
Based on who you guys are.
Yes.
But
yes and yes.
But what one thing stands out in your mind as, like, the craziest moment that ever happened? It could have been something on stage, could have been something backstage. Good, bad.
There's a lot of crazy moments, and I'm sure as all of the monsters know in the mazes, there's like 2 shows happening at once. There's the show that the audience is seeing, or the people that are walking through the maze, and then there's the show behind the scenes of all the monsters inside the mazes and all the people doing the shows. So we definitely had 2 shows going on. We had a lot of shenanigans. I was the only female in a boys' club, so you can imagine the type of shenanigans I witnessed at all times. But, you know, there would be small things. You know, the last year was probably the most impactful year. The most, you know, we really, really bonded with not only the cast I was with, but the 3 years prior I was cast lead, and this cast was like, we just had a really good groove on stage with the show and a really good relationship with all of our crew members and even like the people who were working in the area. So all the people who were like working, it's selling Pepsi or selling all these different things.
Pepsi.
And the ushers and all. So everybody was involved. So then it was a whole new level of shenanigans because they were like doing things for us, with us. So sometimes like we'd have little signs on top of our barrels, and if you've ever seen the show, they're like full-size barrels. And we'd have these funny signs, and we couldn't break character. It's supposed to be a really scary, in-your-face, punk rock Halloween show.
Yeah.
And like they'd leave the funniest signs on our barrels that nobody else could see, only us. So trying to perform and like keep this character sometimes was really hard. It was really, really hard.
What would the sign say? Just an example.
Some things were inappropriate.
Yeah. It's a family.
Some non-family things. And some things were just like saying hi, or something silly like hope you like this song, and like we've played the song thousands of times, or just something like a message like look up halfway through the song, and then I'd look up halfway through the song and the guys in the sound booth and the light booth would be like dancing with like tons of light up things, and like the audience, unless they were to turn around, can't see them. So we were seeing like this extra show on top of our show, on top of the audience show, of these like people dancing, having their own little like rave in the back. So it was pretty fun. I think one big one that was doggies. It's okay. The one that was the best was our sound girl, Amy, is a big fan of Woodstock.
Who isn't?
Right.
Who isn't?
And if you're unfamiliar with Woodstock, go ahead and look him up, because you must know him. And he's from the Snoopy family, and she loves him. So we started to play a little prank, and we would kidnap her Woodstock, and then we'd hold it ransom for candy or something like that. And so it ended up being like this back and forth of like we'd hide Woodstock in different places, and then she'd find it, she'd take it back, she'd hide something of ours. And so this was going on like every single day. And then it kept progressing, and then all of a sudden we'd see Woodstock on stage. And if you watch the show, the character that I am is very different from who I am in real life. And I was quite disturbed by finding poor Woodstock tied up to our equipment because it was such an aggressive show that power tools were involved. He could get chopped up or he could get set on fire. So I was very concerned. And so they played off of that and then kept putting him on stage, putting him in the worst places, and he'd have his little chest tied up. And I was like, so as the show's going on, we're doing all this choreography, we're doing all these really things, I'm throwing buckets. All I can think about is the Woodstock that is tied to the washer, and the song is coming where we use the metal grinders, and he's gonna get on fire, and then all of a sudden he'd be gone. And I'd be like, what? And like my other band member took him and put him somewhere else, so then I'd find him a little bit ways through the show somewhere else all of a sudden. And like, nobody knew. Did you guys ever know, seeing the show, that like all these shenanigans are going on?
Never saw the Woodstock.
We were extremely professional with our shenanigans because nobody knew what was going on, and we were just playing the show. But I finally had to take Woodstock home because it was getting slightly disturbing. Because he...
Show the camera. Show that. It's a little...
He had been chopped up.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Caught on fire. What the heck is happening? So...
Charred butt.
I know. It's like the saddest thing ever. So, I saved him. And just as a farewell gift, the sound girl Amy got us all new ones.
So it's that's what he's supposed to look like.
This is what he's supposed to look like.
Before and after.
What blood drums did to him. Poor guy.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so lots of shenanigans, but that was probably my favorite one. What you got there? Okay.
What? That's really funny. And speaking of fire, I mean, when the first time we actually saw blood drums and like went to the show, and I was all like, blood drums, like what is that? And Jackie's all like, no, we need to go see it, I want to go see it. And I'm like, okay, let's go see it. And there's Nikki jumping around on the stage, and all of a sudden this, like, you know, you get to that grinder part with the power tools, and all of a sudden you see a piece of metal just flying out towards us, and then this little voice just going like, welcome to the show, you know, like, no. But yeah, I think that is showing, like, breaking that fourth wall, like things are coming at you at this show. It is very, very involved, and I know you guys would come out into the audience and play and everything. So what was one of the most, like, memorable moments that you had?
There were so many. The thing I loved most about this job was that we were able to connect with so many people, because for every show, you know, you're always getting new people. You're always making new connections. And then as the show progressed and we came back year after year, we ended up meeting people, you know, that became our new supporters and were there all the time. So seeing someone familiar out in the audience and knowing the songs and being involved with us and being able to share that is such a privilege. And being a musician, that is one of the most impactful things you can do, is that when you break down that wall and that audience member can connect with what you feel so passionately about, and you can share that. And it's kind of a strange show. It's not like any other show. It's really like this hardcore punk street drumming band that's playing like this really aggressive, strong song, and so it's kind of out of the ordinary. So it was, I'd say it's like an overall good memory of just being able to see audience members and supporters and people who eventually became friends come back and be involved with us. I remember one night where there's this song where we try to get everybody doing like left rights. And there was one night where it was just packed. It was a completely full house. And then all of a sudden, all the ushers and all the people selling concessions and our sound person, it wasn't even the last night. It just somehow, the energy of that area pulled everybody in. Some of the monsters came in from the streets. Everybody was doing this right along with us. And like, I've dedicated my life to music, and those moments like that where you can have so many different walks of life unite under one thing. Like, I'll tell you a little bit behind the scenes. You look at some of the pictures, and I'm going and I'm jumping and it's aggressive and I'm hardcore. I was doing this and I was sobbing in my gas mask because I was so like hit with such good energy, and seeing these people and being able to share this time with them like really got to me. And I'm like, well, I got gas mask on, so I can get away with being a little sappy underneath this because nobody's gonna see. Only problem is I cried, and then my gas mask fogged up, and then I couldn't see. So, but that's probably the most memorable thing, and you know, just having the ability to connect with people is something that I live for every single day through music.
Let's talk about playing through the pain. So, as monsters, and as you guys are watching, will watch other interviews, we all get hurt. It is a very physically demanding job to work haunt, and it tenfold, you know, like working on streets and throwing your bodies down on the ground, and you know, you guys put so much effort and so much energy into your show. Let's talk about one night.
One night
where things went wrong.
The night
where things went wrong.
That blood drums became blood drums. Yes, because it's such a different type of show, we weren't ever stationary. So it wasn't like someone just staying behind the kit and someone playing a guitar. It was all drummers, all moving to different stations. So we had to be really mindful of like where we were stepping and what we were using. And then the extra element of safety was, you know, that we used power tools. So we had to learn how to use these power tools safely on equipment to make music with and to make a lot of fun visuals. Well, there is a song that I had played thousands of times, and I had done thousands of times with a metal grinder. And we'd either use a washing machine or we'd use a pipe, something that would make sparks. Mm-hmm. So we'd do it with the music, but it was visually fun to see. So one night, after had done this thousands of times, practicing safety first, that was our biggest thing on stage, safety first, always. I had what is called a max stack, which is the muffler that you'll see on semi-trucks on the side. We would get those and we'd put handles on them, and we used to grind and play and do all kinds of fun stuff with it. So I had it, and I'd put it, and I'd lay it on my arm, and I'd do the metal grinder way above my arm. Very safe, done it tons of times. And all of a sudden, one night, I'm doing it, here's the song, and then all of a sudden, it slips. The whole metal grinder slips. And I was like, whoa, it like kicks back. And I thought, oh, maybe it just caught something and it just kicked back. Not a big deal. I didn't feel anything. I felt like it fall, and that's it. So I have a gas mask on to protect myself from the sparks. Going on. And all of a sudden, like, I don't feel good. Well, maybe it's just the gas mask because you can't really breathe in there. And it fogs up and it gets sweaty, and like it's the end of the show, and so we're just, you know, we're sweating and we're going for it. And so I was like, maybe I'm just like a little exhausted tonight. Then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I feel like really nauseous. What is going on? I'm like, okay, we're at the end of the show. I just got to push you. The show must go on. That is what I've been taught since I was young. Being in a whole family of musicians, the show must go on. So the show was going on. Little did I know, I was bleeding out. The metal grinder had slipped and cut my entire arm extremely deep, and I was bleeding everywhere. But I couldn't tell because I had a gas mask on. And so I push through, we get the end, we're doing all this. I'm sure blood is just, hey.
Oh my God. I'm like wondering if the audience is going like, hey, it's all...
Yeah, I didn't... There was a fan out there that she kind of like saw that my demeanor was a little different than normal. So she thought maybe I was just sick or got hurt or something like that. So finished the show and I go backstage, I throw off my gas mask and I look down and there's just blood everywhere and blood coming out. And all I remember is looking at my bandmate going, help. All I said was help. And the next thing I knew, I was in the dressing room on the floor. I had passed out. And it was really, really scary because my body went into shock right away. That's probably why I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
I lost a significant amount of blood. My bandmates were totally freaked out. They called the paramedics. They rushed over to our dressing room, and they were unsure about it, so they had to take me to the ER. But from the dressing room, you know, personally, like, this is what I love to do. This is what I've dedicated my life to, and I couldn't move my arm, and they had bandaged it up, so I couldn't move it. I didn't know if I couldn't move it. And so much was rushing through, like, everything seemed to be just, like, flashing in my eyes. Like, am I going to lose my ability to do what I love? Am I going to be able to, you know, play again, move my arm again? What is going on? So I was so in and out. I was passing out, so they put me... I think it was a wheelchair. Or no, I was laying down. They put me on
like a stretcher?
Yeah. And I was going through and they were taking me out. And all I could remember is just yelling. Move, move, move. And then all of a sudden...
Sound familiar?
Totally. Move. You never want to hear those aggressive yells. And then I saw monsters from that area, now that I could think back, checking on me. Going, oh my God, Nikki, are you okay? Let me tell you, when you hurt yourself and you're passing out and you're coming to in and out, the last thing you want to see is a giant monster in your face. Because everybody was in makeup. Yeah. Everybody was working. And so my brain was like, what the hell is going on? Because it's like, monster, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, I don't know what's happening. So it was a very scary night. It officially made it blood drums. I got rushed to the ER. Luckily, if it would have been like less than, like he said, a few millimeters, I could have lost my ability to lose my arm. Oh, not lose my arm, but lose the ability to move it, because there's a really important tendon right there. But I didn't, and I got stitched up, and I asked, when can I go back? And the doctor thought I was crazy. And I said, the show must go on. And he said, you probably shouldn't be moving all that much. I said, if you put extra stitches in, can I move? And he said, yes. I said, put them in. So I ended up getting 17 stitches. I went back that night. That night. I did not play, though, because they were halfway through their last show. Okay. But I went back to support my band and let them know what's going on. But the next night, we changed up the show a little bit, because some of the choreography, you'd have to raise your hand really high, and I couldn't fully extend my arm yet. So in the internet, you may see pictures where I have this big bandage and ace wrap on my arm for the shows, but I went back the next day, and I finished out the season. Because the show must go on. Because the show must go on. Yes, and I have a scar. Little scar.
I mean,
it's not too bad.
For what it looked stitched like, that is...
Yes.
I thought that would be 10 times worse looking.
And it's like, it's my blood drums tattoo. Like, no need to get a blood drums tattoo anymore.
Well, that is all the time we have for today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was a very fun chapter of my life that I still cherish. All the supporters, all of the entertainment directors, everybody, we all became a huge family, the crew members, everything, and I cherish that moment. So thank you for having me and allowing me to share that time with you.
And if our viewers want to find you, where can they find you and the things you do?
I am all over the interwebs at Nikki G, Nikki Drum. You can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever you like to be. I would love to hear from you. If you saw the show, I would love to share that experience with you. And if you're just into music or drumming, come on over. I got you.
And you have 2 albums out right now.
I have 2 albums out. One was released a while ago because I am a composer. So every single album that I'm going to drop is going to be different. So the first one is like an instrumental, kind of orchestral album. The second one is an electro album. And it is out now, and if you go to any of my social media, you can find the links, and I would love to share all of that with you, and I would love to have your support.
We'll put links.
Oh, yes. And
Yes.
and they're
We'll put
saying
all these links
they will put
below.
the links, the magic buttons for
Yes.
you to join me on my musical adventure and keep joining the Fractured Compass.
Thank you for being part of Fractured Compass.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you later.
Friendship! Friendship!